Unit 4, Part 2. There are two major lessons to take away from Unit 4. The first is the three-step method for translating English sentences into symbols, and you should practice this many times by doing the exercises. The three-step procedure is first, it's 1, 2, 3. First of all, identify and symbolize the simple sentences. Okay, and in a moment we'll start at section 1, where they remind us how to pick out simple sentences and to symbolize them. So we're identifying and picking out the simple sentences, the non-compound simple sentences of the English sentence, and when you do that, you'll be leaving the English words that will be translated into symbols in place. Second step, it's crucial you do this second in the correct order. Second step is identify the major operator of the sentence, okay? And you translate that, so that'll be the English word, say for example, and, right? So Dan is Australian and Dan teaches logic. That's a compound sentence. The simple sentences are going to be Dan is Australian and Dan teaches logic, right? Give them symbols. Here it's clear the major operator is the English word and, so that'll get the symbol. So the second step is identify the major operator, that is the English word that's going to get a symbol, and put that in place, right, when you symbolize, and then put the components in English where they go on, say, either side of this formula. And I'm saying it with regard to the general method here. And then you'll symbolize the components. We're symbolizing the components, which are themselves sentences. They have to be themselves complete sentences. Symbolizing components, you might be returning to the method of identifying the major operator, symbolizing the major operator, putting the components in their place. You'll see how that goes when we do more complex examples. Here, this is not a simple sentence in a technical sense. It is a compound sentence. So it's just, if we have Dan is Australian, if you make that A for Dan is Australian. Dan teaches logic is a simple sentence. Call that L. So it's just A and L. The three-step procedure, it's most clearly expressed in the last paragraph of 65 on section 4. Section 4 is symbolizing multiply complex sentences, where they run through some examples. Let me say, while I remember, when you're reading through this chapter, and especially the examples when she runs through in section 4, that's a good example of the advice I gave in how to read this book in either the introduction or in talking about in the lectures for Unit 1, the advice of when she runs through examples in detail, don't say to yourself, oh, this is dry and boring, let me sort of skip through this. Those are the parts of the text you need to read and reread and make sure you understand every single step that she takes, because that's her showing you how to do precisely the problems that you will need to do in the exam and the quizzes. All right, but on page 65, last paragraph, she says the best way to work out the logical structure of a multiply compound sentence, once you have identified and abbreviated the simple components, part 1, is to pick out the major operator first, write that down, and then go on to go on to symbolize the components. Right. Anyway, I'll show you the method in practice a few times. As I say, that's learning this method and making it second nature by doing lots of examples yourself. That's one of the two big takeaway lessons from Unit 4. The second lesson, which is taught in Section 3, the second big thing you need to learn, is the list of English words, which are not merely and or and if then, but the English words like but and nevertheless, or still sometimes, or just in case, all these English expressions which do receive symbols. Okay, so there's a set of English expressions which are not just the English word and or if then. There's a set of English words which are logically equivalent, have the same logical force as those words. The most obvious example is but, right? If you know, what's the logical force of and? When the sentential operator blank and blank, what is that sentence doing? It's telling you that both those things are true, right? As the truth table for and says, the compound built with the sentential operator and is true only when both conjuncts are true. Now the word but, the English word but, it has some subtle differences in meaning for and, but its logical force is the same, which is to say, when I say A but B, what am I saying? The logical force of what I'm saying is that both of these things are true, right? So that means when you see in English sentences which says blah, 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 but blah, 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 you do symbolize this with the dot, right? It is a conjunction. So section 3 introduces you to a list of English words, and we'll run through some of them. We'll run through the main ones. You have to learn, first of all, what words will get symbolized, right? And also you have to learn how they get symbolized, right? So the word provided, for example. A, provided that B, you have to know, first of all, that provided, the word provided, when you see it, is a word that is going to get symbolized, is going to receive a symbol, right? And you need to know which symbol it gets. Provided means if, logically, we'll learn. But there's also complicated ones like unless, which we're going to translate as if not. But those are the two big lessons, okay? So the 3-step procedure, which you'll see in practice, right? Pick out the simple sentences, pick out and symbolize the English sentences, identify the major operator, put the major operator down first, and have that articulate the overall structure or overall form of the formula. As we'll see, put the components in their place, and then attack the components. The point of that 3-step procedure, as we'll see, will become clearer when we do examples. But the point is to have a top-down translation, right? You read, that is, you get to the overall form first, because that's what the major operator gives you. The crucial thing in the 3-step procedure is symbolizing picking out the major operator and putting that in its place as the overall form of the sentence first before you do the components. Because if you don't follow this procedure, as I'll show you, your translation is not going to get the right logical form. Right? That's what symbolizing English sentences is. The trick is correctly identifying the logical form of the sentence, correctly expressing the logical form of the English sentence in your formula. The symbolic formula is meant to be a perspicuous presentation of the logical form of the sentence. Okay, so if you don't do the major operator first, that is to say, if you make the mistake of just reading all the words and writing down the symbols as they sort of appear in the English sentence, you're not likely to get the correct major operator. You're not likely to hit upon the correct logical form, as we'll see.